Good day to all, welcome to Extreme Recap. On a bazaar, a monstrous vulture lands on a desolate planet to eat a hand. However, Riddick emerges from beneath the debris when that hand abruptly grabs it by the throat. Under the scorching sun, he crawls with his broken leg in search of water. Sadly, however, the small pond is apt for consumption because of his wounds. Riddick takes a nap to rest his exhausted body. When he wakes up later, he decides to start by putting his foot between two rocks and putting his broken leg back together in a painful way. Some jackal-like beasts can hear his wailing in pain. Riddick backs away from those who immediately come after him, falling into the eel-filled pond. After repelling them, it focuses on slowing his heart until the jackals believe he has drowned and vanish. When Rita emerges from the water, he is shocked to find that there is still a jackal. He uses his good leg and a bone he finds on the ground to fight it at first. However, it is absurd that the jackal is too strong while observing the animal's face. The jackal immediately goes after Ethereum, confirms that its behavior resembles that of a dog. After that, Riddick uses his armor and a few screws to support his broken leg, which is painfully held in place. He then begins to traverse the desert, finding only sand and rocks everywhere. He eventually finds a cave with clean water, but the sound of the jackals searching for him interrupts his break. A mud demon emerges from the pond as the animals get closer, brutally attacks the pack leader, killing it in a matter of seconds and driving the other jackals away. Riddick is able to stop the creature's mouth with a second bone after some struggle, and he takes advantage of the opportunity to flee. The sky is getting darker. As a result, Riddick wanders around until he comes across an obelisk, which he lowers to the ground to use as a cover while he sleeps that night. Riddick also dreams about how he got to this place. He was Lord Marshal of the Necromonger Empire, granting him power and access to all of the women he desired. Notwithstanding, he declined to take up the frightened promise, and many influential individuals were discontent with that. Numerous attempts had been made to kill him. As a result, Riddick had to constantly be on guard. One night as Riddick checked the door, certainly, all of his guards were present. He was stabbed by one of his concubines after being surprised from behind, but killed her right away with the same knife after ridiculing her for choosing the wrong spot. After that, Captain Krona and Commander Vodka went to check on him and discovered that his throne was covered in blood. Riddick said he wanted to go back to Fury, his home planet. Furthermore, when Vodka said all the charge to that spot had been obliterated, Riddick compromised him with a blade, making him admit he had in his head the only map that was left. The two of them then agreed to a deal. Rarity would be led to Furia by Vodka, and in return, he would receive the throne and access to something called Transcendence. Krona took Riddick to Furia a few hours later, but as soon as he got there, he knew this wasn't the right place. Furthermore, this was a trap. Riddick was confronted by Krona's soldiers, but he was faster and more powerful. So it just took him a couple of moments to kill them all with his blades. The next time Krona tried to kill him, he hid behind a rock and used a laser gun. Krona then realized that they were perched on a cliff edge. He then shot the ground, causing the rocks to fall ridiculously into the desert and kill him. Riddick wakes up in the present and continues to explore the desert, where he finds the jackal leader who was left behind. Slew of puppies. Riddick takes one with him and builds a cage out of bones for the puppy to eat and grow in. Adult jackals occasionally attempt to enter the cave, but Riddick steps in and establishes his territory to keep them at bay. In addition, he waits by the pond to hunt a young mud demon and collects its venom, which he then injects into both the puppy and himself. Every day, they take a little portion so their bodies can become accustomed to it and in the end become resistant. When Riddick eventually scales the cliff, he finds that the other side of his location is covered in grass and water. But before he can get there, he has to get through the pond with the mud demons. When his leg is recuperated, he bounces into the lake deliberately and battles the evil presence utilizing a weapon produced using bone. They keep avoiding each other's attacks because they are both very quick. As a result, Riddick lets the beast bite his leg and kills it while its teeth are stuck in his armor. He turns around when he hears a noise and sees that the puppy is barking at a lot of animals. A mud demon can use this distraction to attack Riddick from behind. However, he quickly avoids it and flees. Riddick grabs the bone weapon and his puppy. The mud demon wriggles in agony and passes away as he cuts it open, sliding right under it. When Riddick reaches the other side, he is finally able to leave the area. After 6 months, as Riddick moves about the plains with his pet jackal, a very good boy who is now fully grown. The jackal eventually acquires something. What's more, Riddick must mythical beast by the neck to make a drop it, realizing that it is a golf ball. This indicates that humans have previously been here following this clue. They eventually locate Station P7, which serves as a base for bounty hunters and mercenaries. He takes some useful tools and food packs with him, but when he opens them later, he finds their disgusting Riddick and tries to feed the jackal. However, the pet does not like them either. While they share a beast's meat, the sky suddenly turns dark as they hunted. Riddick initially believes that a rainstorm is beneficial. However, when the jackal growls and makes fun of the situation, he is trained to notice a horde of mud demons moving with the storm, comprehending the reasons why people leave this planet. Riddick returns to the station and turns on the beacon that scans him, identifying him as a wanted man and signaling the nearby mercenary ship. Captain Santana and his band of mercenaries arrive shortly after. Riddick is not found in the station, despite their searches. They only see a blood-stained message instructing them to leave one ship or face ridicule and death. After that, the crew gets to work setting up camp and installing a sensor that will let them know when enemies are approaching. The ship is home to a prisoner. So Santana tells his men to let her go so they can have room for Riddick when they catch him. Santana shot and killed the woman as she began to run as quickly as she could. Riddick is unable to act as he watches from his hiding place. Santana then shouts openly to Riddick to let him know he's here for him, declaring that he will put his head in a box. In that instant, Boss John Santana tries to warn a group of bounty hunters that the area has been taken, but they land anyway. There is a dispute over who gets to stay. John also agrees to let Santana manage Riddick until he needs his assistance. Santana reveals that he will secure Riddick's message about his ship in a bomb-proof locker to stop Riddick from stealing it. Even though Dahl is wary of the idea, John sends Dahl to do the same. Johns is informed by Dahl that the usual traps have vanished from the base when it gets dark. The crew sees the pet jackal when the sensor detects something. Diaz tries to shoot it, but just in time, the animal dodges the bullet. The jackal pulls at one of the sensors as everyone is distracted. The machine breaks down as a result of nodes and Riddick making a lot of noise up in the cliff. Santon sends his men to check on the sensor nodes and write until it is turned off, while Johns attempts to warn them of the missing items. Before they arrive, one of the mercenaries with broken legs steps on a trap. The man is attempting to numbly crawl away, only to set a new trap and kill him right away. Santana tries to get in touch with a different soldier, but he doesn't hear back. When two mercenaries go looking for a friend who has gone missing, they find Riddick taking the body away. The two of them open fire in the dark, but they all miss. The next morning, Santana hears the screams on his radio. Two bodies left by mercenaries by Riddick are returned by the soldiers. And there is still no one. To get rid of the traps, Santana scours the area. After that, he is forced to request John's cooperation. However, Santana's constant racist tweets toward Dahl cause her to hit him a few times. John agrees to act, but he is actually taking charge of the mission as a whole. He explains that he only needs to obtain information from Riddick rather than working together. And then Santana can get his head in exchange for the reward. In order to implant a tracker in the jackal's leg, the crew uses their own equipment to locate the jackal and shoots him multiple times. After that, they set out on jet bikes to follow the animal into a cave, where they use special glowing weapons to light their way. The word, Furia, has been carved into the floor as they slowly enter. They shoot the person they see right away, only to find the missing body there. They realized they had been brought here on purpose when they were suddenly startled by the jackal running in the darkness. It's so absurd. Dahl is taking a shower back at the base and can't help but feel like she's being watched. Wendell immediately turns around when a hand enters through the broken window. Her mirror is missing, and it already vanished. She thinks Santana was the thief when she finds him there when she leaves the bathroom. Riddick is already on top of the ship, using a doll's mirror to follow the movements of the other soldiers as they keep watch around it. He also learns from this that the ship doesn't have any nodes, so he can't steal it yet to get away. Doll receives a message from the cave inhabitants stating that the base must be ridiculous. Additionally, she tries to direct Santana to pursue him. But Santana hits her in response, which sets off a fight that the ridiculous observes from the ceiling. Santana defeats Doll and nips her to the ground after hitting her a few times. Johns and the others return at that point to discover Santana has already been defeated by Doll. Also, there's a surprise. Riddick wrote, "Fair trade," in blood on the locker while they were fighting, and the base's communications were also destroyed. John's worried that Santana might have changed the lock combination because he is so sly and ridiculous that he wants to open the locker. After another argument breaks out, everyone takes out their weapons, but John quickly tells them to calm down because it's clear that they are being fooled by absurd mind games after they leave for safety. Santana was allowed to enter the locker. He slowly inserts the code, and thankfully, nothing explodes, indicating that the nodes remain inside. They forget to lock it again because they are so relieved, while the group considers the next step. A sound is heard, and one of the soldiers comes to check the. He starts looking around when he notices that the skylight is open. Riddick grabs him and confirms that the poor guy is afraid of him. During the search for his friend, another soldier discovers that he is missing, only to discover him by himself, frozen in fear. The crew discovers that the nodes have vanished after the soldier informs them that the situation is ridiculous. The nodes in the desert observe the approaching storm while the crew debates how to proceed, which is ridiculous. Therefore, he must use the radio from the body he left in the cave to do something. After the group dropped their weapons on the ground, Riddick got in touch with them and asked them to parley. Outside of the base, Riddick meets with Devious, John, Santana, and others. Johns tries to ask Riddick something ridiculous about a previous mission, during which his son died, but Riddick says he won't answer and will bring back the nodes instead. They should not be here if they give him one ship as an explanation. He leaves when the storm arrives, allowing the crew to make their decision before the rain arrives. Santana is furious and tries to shoot Riddick, but Santana is attacked first by his jackal, and he fails. The strike. As soon as possible, Riddick tries to save his pet. However, Doll begins to use tranquilizers on Riddick from a distance. The first is practically nothing. But once a lot of them get to his body, he looks ridiculous and is too weak to move. And Santana seizes the opportunity to end the jackal's life. John prevents him from attempting to end the ridicule. Riddick wakes up to find himself chained up at the base, not a Nox mockery. Riddick refuses to answer John's questions about what happened to his son. John gives up on Riddick and lets Santana have his way, even though a furious John sets him for it when it starts to rain. Nevertheless, just as Santana is about to strike, they are warned of danger by the sensor outside. When the crew goes outside, they find that they are surrounded by mud and the storm's demons. While one of the soldiers fires through the window, they immediately return to the interior and lock all of the exits. However, a mud demon pierces the wall, quickly stabs and hits him against the window to kill him. The crew fires at the monster, but the demon quickly moves to the roof and grabs another soldier through the skylight before the soldiers can hear the beast roaring and kills their friend. He claims that he is the only one who can defeat the demons, which is absurd. Riddick is liberated as soon as Johns finally agrees to give him a ship in return for his assistance. However, Santana stops him because he wants the bounty doll and tries to cut it, but the other mercenaries capture her. Since Riddick now has a free leg, it would be absurd for him to kick Santana and then use his blade to cut Santana's head, which fell straight into the box as Santana approached Riddick to finally get his head. The crew then freezes ridiculously and shoots at the mud with guns. Animals are being shot at by demons. The crew quickly shoots it to death after one manages to grab the foot of a soldier with its tentacle. However, it is too late. The fighter is now passing on from the toxin while Doll and the last warrior remain to safeguard the boats. Johns and Riddick Diaz board the jet bikes to search for the notes. He is able to drive past a mud demon without getting caught and damaging it thanks to his special ability to navigate in the dark. He can also do crazy jumps on the bike when they almost get there because of this. Diaz sideswipes John, causing his bike to crash. John starts shooting in the dark when he hears noises around him. The two of them ride off together, and when they reach their destination, Ridicule begins searching for the nodes. Fortunately, it was ridiculous to pick him up before anything happened. It turns out, as he talks about John's son, that he was an addict who was about to kill an innocent child to get money for his favorite drugs, so mocked him in order to save the child. John rejects the notion that his son was the villain. However, Ridiculous finds the notes at that precise moment. When Devious hears this, he comes out of hiding, knocks out John's, and then attacks Riddick. Devious grabs Riddick to kill him after a fierce battle starts. However, Riddick, who is more powerful, lowers his arms until he can kick him away. After that, Devious pulls out his gun, but Riddick uses the blade that he had hidden in the hole to kill him as Devious is dying. Devious dies as a result. One of the bikes is destroyed when his falling body accidentally shoots at the gun. John checks the final bike after that, but he finds that Devious has disabled it already because his original plan was to take the nodes and leave them behind. Riddick and John set out on foot back to the ship and destroyed mud demons. As they travel, they collaborate with one another to eliminate them one at a time. However, John's gun keeps him safe at a distance. A demon is able to stab Riddick with its fang before it is killed because Riddick is fighting with his blade in hand-to-hand combat. John steals a ridiculous note when he throws a bomb to kill the last demons and returns to the. In the meantime, Riddick painfully cauterizes a wound with a hot rock left over from the explosion. In that instant, he hears many devils drawing nearer, so Riddick climbs a precarious precipice to get away. However, the demons simply follow him. Initially, Ridicule uses his weapon to defend himself, but a demon bites his leg and forces him to drop it because he is too stubborn to give up. Absurd when climbing. And at the cliff's peak, he uses his naked fists to fight the creatures. On comes a demon. He is about to be eaten by Ridicule, but something suddenly causes it to explode. John and the ship's crew are the ones who use the cannons to eliminate every monster. The doll then picks Ridicule like an angel. Minutes after the fact, Riddick takes Santana's boat and says his farewell to John's kin to get back to the Acropolis. Riddick is surprised to find Krona praying in the throne room when he gets to the fortress. It turns out that he, not Vodka, was the one who betrayed him. Before asking the concubine whether Vodka is still alive or dead, Riddick immediately stabs him in the back. She responds to both. After that, Riddick goes to the window and sees a bright light, realizing that Vodka has entered and transcended it. Turn on notifications. Please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.